What's good, YouTube? Welcome back to the Stock Hustle channel with your boy William. Today is Wednesday, October 20th, 2021. As always on this channel, we don't slave 9 to 5, we hustle 24/7. That is the principle I believe in. Number one, because I feel anyone can hustle in the stock market to become profitable. But as always, guys, remember, this is not financial advice. It is simply financial education. So let's get into it. As normal, guys, I usually pick a ticker that I find interesting or I found a good catalyst for or interesting financials. I break it down, give you some of the most highlighted information or important information I feel is important to a ticker. Go through the technical analysis real quick, and then in my video with a synopsis with unusual whales capping off the options chain. Today's video, I'm going to breeze through the TA of this ticker and through some of the information on it because it is a relatively new ticker. There isn't really a whole lot of data out there, but the highlight is going to be unusual whales. I did have a couple people on Twitter message me or tweet me specifically asking to give a little bit of a breakdown as to how I read and use unusual whales to find bullish options chains that I choose to invest in, right? So I took the liberty of saying, sure, I'll be more than happy to do that. I'm going to give it my best shot. Please, guys, by any means, do not take me as a guru or as a know-it-all. I don't know every piece of information in the stock market. Like any other YouTuber on YouTube specifically, I'm giving you my interpretation, which is simply my opinion, right? Don't treat my opinion as fact. Please do your own research. Please take what I say with a grain of salt. But of course, if you find it resourceful and useful and helpful, as always, you are more than welcome to take full advantage of that and use it to your own abilities. But as I said, we're going to give this a best shot and see what you guys think. As always, if you have questions, leave them in the comments below and I'll be happy to get to you. Don't forget, you can always tweet me or DM me on IG as well. I do have a new IG available for those that are interested as well. It is Stock Hustle 2021 on IG. But let's get into it. So the ticker today is going to be RKLB, Rocket Lab USA Incorporated. So what is Rocket Lab? Specifically, Rocket Lab, from the name, I mean, I guess it's pretty a dead giveaway. It is formerly known as Vector Acquisition Corp. Is an aerospace company. The company designs, manufactures small and medium class rockets, satellite spacecraft components, satellites, and other spacecraft to support the space economy. Please take into consideration what happened last year, or 2020, excuse me, beginning of 2020. We launched Space Force. That should have been a key indicator to you at that time when that was launched. There is going to be business in space. This is a key company playing into the sector. I do not, full disclosure, I do not have a ticker involved in space in any way, shape, or form. I am super interested in a couple of them. SpaceX obviously being the number one, this being another, Rocket Lab, and then there is another company by the name of Astra, which I am also super bullish on. Plus, if you follow ARK Invest, they did start ARK X, which is a space ETF. So business for space is open. There is going to be heavy business. This is, again, a long-term projected hold, but that doesn't mean you can't be profitable in options or short-term. But again, the aerospace company, I mean, this pretty much gives a dead explanation, right? But I do have something pretty cool for you. They do have a website, which I did already take the liberty of looking up, and they do have a short video we're going to watch.
In all stations, this is flight on mission cord. We're starting terminal count at this time. Clock is T-minus 12 minutes. Mark T-minus 12 minutes and counting.
FSO LC on mission cord. Will you confirm?
Confirm.
FTS. Confirm FTS is green.
FTS is green on internal power.
PMS LC on mission cord.
LC.
Confirm all separation events are armed.
Confirmed.
RLM, this is flight on mission cord. Re-verify cola windows and confirm release of the T-minus 2-hour balloon.
RM LC on LV cord. Commence fire suppression system test.
Stage 1 locks pressed. Stage 2 locks pressed.
Flight vehicle is ready.
T-minus 10 seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, liftoff. Liftoff confirmed. Vehicle is cleared to pad.
Stage 2 engine ignited.
Stage separation succeeded.
Space is now open for business. Yeah. So, I think that was pretty cool of a video that they posted on their website. Kind of gives you a good interpretation of what Rocket Lab is, right? From the name, I'm being it's a dead giveaway. But, again, if you didn't know or didn't understand, now you do. So, that kind of gives you a brief explanation of what it is. Again, this is a relatively new company. They've essentially started trading officially on the market as of, looks like November last year. So November 24th looks like the first trading day they were actually up and open. Since then, let's do a quick breakdown of the chart to kind of give you that idea. You see it's been relatively stable, staying on this lower end of $11, breaking through once, essentially here, March 1st, dying back down with that correction we had through April. They corrected right back down into this lower $11 channel, and have essentially lived there up until recently. September 2nd, they did have this nice little run up where they did run up all the way to $21.34 before breaking back down, and essentially they are now sitting in this middle channel, which I've designated at $12.79. As you see, candles formulating directly below this area of resistance. Remember, support and resistance can be determined by one thing and one thing only: touch points on the line, right? Does that mean that every single line that you draw on the chart will be correct? No. Will you get it wrong? Yes. How will you know if it was right or wrong? You will draw a line and the candles will tell you thereafter if you were right or wrong. How? If we struggle to break through this with multiple touch points moving further for the next couple of days, right? Finally break through and then start building candles above it, it just confirmed for you that the 1279 is an area of support and resistance. Anytime you have resistance, once you break through it, it becomes your support, right? After that, you would be in this upward channel from 1279 to 1442. That's kind of how you identify support and resistance. Yes, it is important when you're trading options to know what channel you are in and where support and where resistance is. That is always super important. It is one of the fundamentals to trading. If you don't know it, I have a video on it. Go through the video log and find it, watch it. It'll give you some more information on it as well for the newbies, right? Indicators that I like to use on charts specifically, we have MACD, RSI, and ATR. So in the MACD, you see that these red candles forming on the bottom tell you we are in currently a selling period. If we zoom in a little more, what do we see? We are getting close to the point of converging, but not quite there yet. You see this dotted white line, that is neutral in the RSI. You see we are sitting below neutral, essentially sitting here at 43.5, right? So just below neutral, however, pointing towards the upside, right? And then the ATR, which is average true range, you see that it is designated at $1.15. If you double that up, that's essentially giving you a $2.30 swing to the upside or $2.30 swing to the downside. That kind of gives you some fundamentals of the chart and the ticker so far and where we stand. Also, moving forward, for those of you that do watch my videos, anytime I make a video on YouTube, I am going to, therefore, moving forward, designate it with a yellow arrow to track where the video was made when I made a video. The green arrow you see pointing down is earnings. Rocket Labs will be reporting earnings on November 15th after market closes. It's important to take away specifically for this ticker and for this video. So, unusual whales. Let's get into the fun part. Well, I don't want to watch this anymore. Let's get into the fun part, which is actually the purpose of the video, right? Going into Marketbeat real quick. Target predictions. I did want to give you guys an update on this. Target high is 30, middle is 22, low is 18. Currently sitting at 12. That's either a $6 upside, a double up, or a little bit past a double up in potential, right? And this is from Marketbeat. If you go into Nasdaq and look at their projections, they have a strong buy with, again, a 30 high, 22 mid, 18 low. So at an average consensus price, you can expect a double up. Best case scenario, a $30 price target. That means you're going to essentially make, what is that, $18 for every single share that you buy. You bought 100 shares, that's $1,800. Simple math, simple solution, simple problem, right? Anyways, that kind of sums that piece up. They do have A short position, however, in specific Lucid Tracking that I use to track short positions, there is no actual reporting on it. Again, this is a relatively new company. There is not a lot of institutional ownership as of this point. It will be interesting to see, as this new quarter has started, what institutions report opening and establishing positions in Rocket Labs, because it'll definitely give you an indication as to whether this is going to be really, really bullish or just a little bullish. But into the options chain. So, unusual whales, guys. These are the pricings for unusual whales for those of you that are interested. I am a member at the Super Live Buffet, $39 a month or $429 a year. Yes, I have said multiple times on Twitter, from the first trade, it pretty much pays for itself. That was the case for me. That could potentially be the case for you. But when we start in unusual whales, you always want to right away click on flow. When you get to the flow, you're going to get this, right, which is the most current flow for the day, right? It's going to give you multiple different tickers, ETFs, whatever people were buying, right? Because it's trying to give you as much information as possible. How I use it. So today's video was made on RKLB, Rocket Lab. So obviously you would want to go up here to the top left, RKLB, hit enter. It's going to automatically pull all the options chain for today by hour and time of when it was purchased and put it on this chart for you to see. Right away, when you're looking at the chart, at the very top, you have these two sections. It's going to give you the total call premium, 1.2 million for the day. Put premium, 273,000. Automatically, that tells you it's more bullish than bearish. Fine. However, how do you use it? This section here where it says filters, right? I always like to do specifically this first. I go down to the bottom, OTM, out of the money only. I only want to see what people are projecting. I don't care if people are interested in buying it at $2 or $7 or $4, $8. That doesn't mean anything to me. I want to know what they're projecting and what people are buying that they project RKLB will go to, right? Well, when you do that, all of a sudden now you see changes. You see targets like 16, 14, 20, right? Etc., etc., etc. You see a lot of bearish, but don't think just because you see bearish over here that it's all negative. All they're telling you is that they're selling calls. So they feel it's bearish because they feel they're more than likely going to lose their shares, right? But look, if we're trading at 12 and you see here someone is willing to sell a call at 15, that tells you they're willing to sell their shares at $15. Well, potentially for us, what that could mean is 15 is a really concurrent price target, right? Without filtering by premium, what I always do after this part is I go up here where it says show charts. It just gives you a better visual. What do you see right away in the pies? More green than red. That means more bullish than bearish, right? The first section up here where it says breakdown by expiration, it tells you which expiration is more bullish or bearish. Right away you can see that November 19th is more bullish than bearish. If you go down a little bit further, it gives you the most bullish versus bearish strikes. Obviously, we can easily see that the $13 strike is heavily targeted, followed by the 15. So 13 and 15 are heavily targeted. If we go back into the breakdown, well, we can see that easily most of these price targets are pretty high. You see 20s, 15 is a pretty consistent number, but you also see that the most current expiration is November 19th. We go down this list, you see more of that number than anything else, right? Whether it's bullish, bearish, or whatever. So that automatically tells you, okay, so somewhat or somewhere, somehow, the urgency is for this expiration for November 19th. Could it be that because earnings are on November 15th, as we said down here, that could be a potential? That's a couple days right before or right after, they report earnings. So if they have smashing earnings, that could mean a run up in price, which because they have so many missions, because they are launching satellites for the government, because they do have government contracts, that makes it seem more bullish. I know, I mean, for me specifically, that's how I'm interpreting it, right? That may be different for you. So what do I do after that? Now that I filtered by out of the money, I'm getting a projection, kind of have an idea without filtering anything else what people are thinking. I like to do it by premium. I want to know what big money's spending. Normally I do 5,000 first, so I'll filter where it says premium range by 5,000 minimum. Means you have to spend at least $5,000 in order for this option to be shown on this chart. Then I always go back to the next area I was just at, show charts. Why? Because I want to see if it's more bullish or bearish. So what do we see? Now all of a sudden the graphs have changed. You see that November 19th is still the predominant expiration date being targeted. Now look at the strikes. 13, 15. Again, for people spending $5,000 or more, that's what they're targeting. 13 and 15. Perfect. Let's go back. Then I like to do 10,000. So for 10,000, let's take a look what we find. Obviously, the list has now consolidated because there's not as many people buying at $10,000. So now, again, we see the November 19th being the predominant date, 1 January 19th. More calls, purchases of calls than sales of calls. But look at the sales of calls. 13, 13, 15, 14. So easily you could say 14 would be a nice average, right? If we go into the charts again, once again, the graphs or the pies, all green for the most part, meaning more bullish than bearish. Expiration, November 19th. Targets, $13 and $14 are now the heavily targeted strikes. So we go back. The next target I usually do is 15,000. I'll skip it for this case because we have a small list, and I'll just go straight to 20,000. And you see one contract here. Now this contract was $27,000, right? So this is the purchase of a call at $14. So again, now you see the difference in amounts of money versus the difference in who's buying what. Now, what I usually do after this is I take this out of the money off. I go back up. Now I want to filter by anyone buying any kind of strikes. And all of a sudden, look at the dynamic. Now we have a $121,000 purchase of a call for April 14, 2022 at the 1250. If we go back to the charts, again, we continue to see now it's solid bullish at this point. And the heavily targeted strike date is $12.50. Why? Because that contract of $122,000, of course, right? That's why. But if we go back down into the price or premium amounts, we can go back down to 15,000. You can get a better interpretation now, not filtering out of the money, right? So once again, full confirmation in every single premium amount we've seen that it is more bullish than bearish. Now, if I were a purchaser of an option, which for the intended purposes of this video, I have no active position in this company, but I will be establishing an option position. That's why I elected this one, to give you guys a perfect example how to use unusual whales. I am targeting the November 19th expiration because it is the most bullish expiration upcoming. It is directly after earnings, and I am fully expecting them to have solid earnings because of the amount of missions they've already launched, the amount of missions they have on their log, plus they have government contracts. Government contracts to me means big money is spending money on this play. With Space Force now enacted, space is essentially open for business, as they did state in their video. I fully believe that. Now, when you're choosing which specific strike you want to target, right? I have some fundamental rules that I use for trading, right? But obviously we can see here that the 1250, the 12, the 15, and the 14, and earlier we saw the 13 as well being listed on here, right? But for that, I usually go back to the options chain. So first and foremost, you need to have some kind of fundamental principles when it comes to technical analysis. As I did tell you guys, this company is going to converge into a buying period. The RSI is going to continue trending up because it can't live down here in this area where it's been. As we see back here, when it lived in the neutral, what did it do? Pursued, overbought, and then cooled back off once it entered its selling period. Here we are in the cycle again. We're approaching a buying period. The RSI will go into overbought, especially with good earnings. You can most certainly expect that, which means we see 1250, 13, 14, or 15 being in our potential future. Looking at historical highs, you're looking at this ticker hitting all the way to 21. So obviously the 1250, the 13, and the 14 are more than reasonable in its potential, right? Let's go into the options chain and take a look here. Now, if you've ever watched any of my videos specifically, you know I specifically target 0.50 delta or better. Why? Because number one, I want to make at least $50 for every single dollar that the ticker goes up. But number two, the percentage of profitability. I'd rather have a 50% chance of being profitable or better, right? Versus choosing, for example, like $21 strike where I have an 8% chance of being profitable, right? I would rather give myself a better opportunity to become profitable, which is why I pursue deltas of 0.50 or better. That's just me. That doesn't mean that has to be you. I'm just giving you how I see things and how I choose to do things, right? Again, you can formulate your own opinion. But as we did see from Unusual Whales, 12, 1250, 13, 14, and even 15 were the most heavily targeted strikes. Specifically for me, I would be a player at this 12, which gives you a 0.65 delta. It's going to cost you anywhere from $140 to $145 for control of 100 shares of Rocket Lab. Now, you could easily play the mid on this, which means you would probably put a bid in for somewhere around 142, 143, and take a chance of getting accepted, or just simply slap the ask. Me personally, I would be the slap the ask kind of guy. I'll pay the 145 and I'll take my 65% chance to become profitable. Why? Well, as I said, we're currently sitting on this area of resistance at 1279, essentially at 1272. So I already know this is going to break once this enters a buying period, unless we keep going down to the downside. But if we do go to the downside, our floor is somewhere around here at 1103. I'm okay with that. I can live with us potentially running up 90 something cents. I see that being totally feasible. I mean, there are days here where we ran from 1416 to 1559. Down here we were at 1013 and we ran all the way up to 1219. Here's another one. We went essentially from 1103 all the way to 1436. So a 91 cent day is totally feasible, number one. Number two, earnings, as I mentioned, I do feel is going to be very bullish for this company. Number three, the fact that ARK has started a space ETF, SpaceX is going to be launching, and they have a competitor in Astra. All three companies, for most part, anywhere you go looking for news articles or catalysts, you see that it is very bullish. You don't see a lot of negative sentiment. This is like the new industry or the new sector of opportunity for business. More companies are wanting to upgrade satellites. More companies are going to 5G. A lot of companies want to make global Wi-Fi capabilities. Again, there's just a lot of opportunities in space that I see feasible, with autonomous driving being one of those things. You're going to need more satellites. There's just a lot of opportunity up there. So to me, that's a really bearish industry. This is a very bullish play. You can play long term. If you just want to buy shares, you can ride that wave up. But again, specifically tying to Unusual Whales, I trust the information they give me. As I said, you will not always get every single options trade right, and you will not always be profitable in every single options trade. But the point is to be more profitable than not. Based on the information we saw on Unusual Whales today, breaking it down by premium amounts, breaking it down by out of the money only, and then including all of the money options, we did see a consensus in bullish sentiment for the November 19th at the 12, 1250, 13, and 14 expiration dates. Based on the deltas, as I did state, I play 0.50 delta or better. I am going to go with the 0.65 delta at the $12 expiration, or excuse me, strike for the November 19th expiration date, because that is where I feel the most confident in investing my money. I'm totally comfortable losing potentially $145. Also, I'm very more than comfortable potentially making a significant amount of money if, let's say, Rocket Lab does shoot up from 12 to 21, essentially a $10 swing. That's $650 I would make on that $10 swing. Totally happy with a $650 profit on essentially a $145 investment. But I think you guys get the point. I think you guys get the gist of how to use Unusual Whales now a little better, maybe, if you didn't. If it's more about the terms, just leave it in the comments below. I'll break down the terms for you. If you want to even deeper dive into Unusual Whales, leave it in the comments below. I will work on that video this weekend to make it a lot more in-depth look in how to use it. But as always, guys, any likes, subscriptions to the channel are 100% appreciated. I thank each and every one of you if you stuck to the end of the video to watch it, and I will catch you guys in the next one.